It is 10 o'clock. It is the 5th day of January 2021. 24 hours to the electoral college vote. Oh, God, will this trash fire ever end? Speaking of trash fires, I am your trash fire guide to all things gaming, the OGGM, with another OGGM adventure / game review / whatever it is I do with this channel. And let's just do a quick flashback before we move forward to Cody from Taking 20 and his Why I'm Not Playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition Anymore video, which not only has gotten him tons of heat, but because I made a video about it, 2 videos about it in fact, I'm getting tons of heat. And the weird thing is even though the heat, people agree with Cody, he's still getting heat. People who disagree with Cody, still getting heat. Some of the heat I got was just like pointless heat. Like, I mean, I'm a heel, so I suppose I want heat. But it's like, I want the heat to make sense. So whether he planned it or not, the man has created a beehive of responses. So therefore, I think it's only fair that I actually take a look at the guilty party. So here we have the Pathfinder Core Rulebook Pocket Edition, because I love Pocket Editions. This is just brilliant. I mean, first, let's just look at the craftsmanship. Okay, this is 700 pages. And that looks like it's going to last a long time. I mean, it's thick, it's heavy, but it looks like, I mean, you could hurt somebody with this. This is like at least a pound, maybe a pound and a half. It's well put together. So just product-wise, yeah. Of course, it's Pathfinder, so there's a lot of wasted space for art because the Pathfinder loves their weird art. So if you're familiar with Pathfinder 1, when Pathfinder 1 came out, a lot of people felt it was the logical succession to 3.5. It had everything 3.5 did, but then it also fixed some things, it streamlined some things, it made some things make more sense. There was things they couldn't get the rights to, so they replaced them with other things. You know, take anything else away from Pathfinder, just the fact that it broke down the unbelievable, silly complexity of unarmed combat and being a monk from 3.5 in previous editions, and to make it a stat. Just simply make it a stat. Combat modifier bonus, combat modifier defense for unarmed combat. You know, this is what I get for punching you. This is, I mean, it just made it a stat, which was just brilliant. And if you've just anything else. But then, of course, the inevitable splat books came out, and then you began to discover that if you just, you know, even though it was streamlined in some ways simpler than 3.5, the problem was you began to discover that very quickly you could get some ridiculous numbers very soon in your character's development. I mean, which you could also sort of get in 3.5, but not to the level of, you know, when you're a 5th level character and you're rocking plus 17 in a skill you rarely use, and you're like, plus 17? And I'm only like 4th or 5th level? That seems ridiculous. I'm like Reed Richards level now. All right, so obviously the feats thing is the big thing. So, and of course, the main change was the heritage. So what are the heritages now as opposed to the old days? We know the old days were pretty much the classics, you know, human, elf, dwarf, halfling, and then of course they added things, you know, like Asmers and whatever else. But so we know, so we have the ancestries, or I guess they're called ancestries. So what is their explanation for ancestries? Your character's ancestry determines what people call their own, whether it's diverse and ambitious humans, insular and vivacious elves, traditionists, and family folk. Okay. So I guess it says it expresses the culture your character hails from. Within many ancestries or heritage, subgroups of each have their own characteristics. An ancestry provides ability boosts, hit points, ancestry feats, and sometimes additional abilities. So I can't see why, there's no explanation here why they changed it. So I don't understand, does this mean you're a dwarf? or you're just related to dwarves, and all the dwarves are gone because they were your ancestors. So currently you're sort of an amorphous blob who happens to have dwarvish heritage traits. I don't know. So we have the dwarf, and then, of course, each race gets to pick a racial feat at certain levels. So that's where the confusion starts building, the feats. And just the plethora of feats. You know, and for some reason they make goblins a race. Because I guess everybody loves goblins. So let's just look at a spellcaster, because we know spellcasters are going to be the most complicated. So a first level spellcaster, we get your ancestry and background. You get your initial proficiencies. I'm looking at cleric for some reason. You get your deity. You get your divine spellcasting feat. You get your divine font. And you get your doctrine. So that's what you get at first level. And plus you get 5 cantrips and 2 first level spells. Okay, at second level, you get a cleric feat. And you get a skill feat. So here we go. Here's where and then you get a list of first level cleric feats, or class feats you can pick from, but you're also getting more spells. So yeah, stacking the feat with the spells. Maybe spells should have been a feat, so you could choose, I want to take a spell this level or another feat, and if I take the spell feat this level, I get like a certain number of spells. That's probably how I would have done it. Make the choices easier but also harder. All right, so now third level we get second level spells, another general feat, sector and genre, your skill increase. Fourth level, you get a cleric feat, skill feat. So blah, blah. You can see how the feats are just stacking up, stack. Which I guess is where the problem is just you're getting all these things that allows you to basically take the general physics of the rules, d20 plus number, and then add lots and lots of confusion, because there's racial feats, there's class feats, and then there's just the generic I'm a dude feat. And some of the feats are like dumb. Like I saw one where like literally the feat was a skill. Like I think it was one of the backgrounds that I looked at, and I don't remember which one. Let's see if I can find it again. I probably won't be able to. But basically, it was like, by choosing this background, you get the following skills. Okay, that makes sense. Let's say, I think it was like Acolyte or Sage or something like that. For choosing this background, you can add +1 to one stat, but -1 to another stat. Okay, that makes sense. By choosing this background, you get some starting skills starting gear that you start with. Okay, that makes sense. By choosing background, you get this bonus feat. Okay, what's the bonus feat? The bonus feat is literally just something that lets you do your background anyways. It was like read languages. It's like, why is that a feat? The problem with feet that I always had was just a lot of them seem pointless. A lot of them don't make sense. A lot of them just are so confusing. You never know what to take. And then, that's not even counting like spells. Even if you're not a spellcaster, even if you're like the simplest class in the game, a fighter, I just hit things and wear armor. There's just like so many, and you're not sure what to get. Like combat climber. Why is that a feat? Courtly graces. Why is that a feat? That's just I just don't understand. So I can see, and that's not even adding like the combat stuff where, normally I get plus something, but if I'm doing this while I'm doing this, and then he's doing that, I get more pluses, and then there's this the rotation of feats, skill, spell, feat, skill, spell, feat, skill, spell, feat, skill, spell. Yeah, I can see, especially once you find the ones that give you the best, that you're just going to start that rotation of, okay, if I do this, I get +2. And then for the next round, I get +4 and +2 to damage. And then I can add a +4 to give a friend +1. And now I'm just stacking and cycling. And there's no reason to be, whatever, if I just want to make the most effective character. But there's so many choices in here that you could just choose not to be the most effective character. You can be like, well, like I have so many feats, so many access to so many different weird things. I could choose to be a quirky skill monster. There's a feat in here called Bargain Hunter. Why is that a feat? There's a feat here called Armor Proficiency. I guess if you want to be a class that normally can't wear armor. Yeah. So I think that one of the ways you could fix it here, one of the wasted pages of art, one of the ways you could fix it, I suppose, is, if you're going to just adopt this crazy feat machine when dealing with classes, maybe allow them to choose a class ability or a feat. In the case of spellcasters, okay, you've hit second level. You can choose to gain a spell or a number of spells, or you could choose another feat. A fighter, okay, you could choose a weapon, or you could choose another feat and take Bargain Hunter and Courtly Graces. I don't know. Lie isn't here as a feat. Why is lying a feat? So, yeah. And that's just 2 refills. Now remember, this is, very thick because it's three baby books in one. We've got sort of a small version of the DM's guide in here with magic items and some DME stuff. We've got a very small version of the monster manual in here. Plus we've got some lore about the current book, but most of it is the player's handbook. I would say this much is the player's handbook. So let's say about 500 of the 700 pages is the player's handbook. And most of that is because of the feats. I guess the idea was to build whatever you want. We're going to give you as much options as you pretty much can. We're going to create a world with so many splat books so you can specifically run what you want to run. Want to run a fantasy occult world with nothing else? Here's the book. Want to run a sort of weird west? Here's the book. Want to add some steampunky, arcane punk robot-y stuff? Here's the book. So sort of, it's very GURPSy. It's here's so many options, but the problem is with so many options, you don't know what to choose. You're kind of just going to choose the ones they either suggest, or choose the ones everybody else is saying, or choose the one that's going to make your character more effective, which I think was Cody's problem, is that everybody was choosing to just be super effective. And when everybody's super effective and super min-max and super optimized, it makes combat very boring. Of course, it makes them completely incapable of handling non-combat situations. Like I would love to have seen, Cody place those characters and those players in a situation where you can't make any combat rolls, like a courtly dance or something like that. Or you're dealing with kids, so you can't attack them because they're kids, or just some situation when you're mid-max plus 17, plus 17, plus 17 doesn't matter. Okay, well, great. What are you going to do? You're at a dance. How many ranks did you put in dance and Courtly Grace, which is a feat? So this is our initial look at these. I love pocketbooks. A lot of good ideas. No explanations that I can find. Okay, what's the difference between a heritage and a race and an ancestry? I don't know. We're not going to explain it. We're just going to change it. Too many feats. Too many feats. I see why they did the feats, and part of me agrees with it because I like the idea of getting a choice. Like I could choose this or I could choose this. I don't have to build my fighter like every other fighter because the feats and the choices allow me to individualize, which I guess was the point. But when you have so many, people are just going to be like, it's too much. What's the quickest, easiest to let me play this character, and then I'll just role play everything else. Like, why the fuck do I need a Courtly Grace feat? I'll just roll a charisma check and add my diplomacy. Why is that a feat? Why is cooking a feat? All right, so what do you guys think? I mean, I love pocketbooks. Mainly I picked it up because, research, wanted to have it. I love the Pathfinder art, though they do waste way too much space on the Pathfinder art. There's a lot of good ideas in here. I can understand the confusion, having lived through Pathfinder First Edition math and having lived through some of the stuff with Starfinder, which was sort of the predecessor to this. Yeah, I can see the issues of 500 pages just to make one character is a little much. Yeah. I mean, I'll probably never get a chance to play this, but yeah, it's good to have. I love pocketbooks. More companies should make pocketbooks. I am your grumpy guide to all things gaming. If you appreciate this content and want to continue to see me tear this apart, Comment down below and consider subscribing if you haven't subscribed yet. By subscribing, it helps you know what's going on with the OGGM Adventures, and it helps me know what you want to see next. Help me hit 500 subs by August 4th, 2021. Good luck to the United States tomorrow. I will talk to you, Pathfinders, later.